Hi there, welcome. I'm Gillian Barker and I'm host of Family in Focus. Thank you for joining us today. We've got a great show. But before we get into that, I want to remind you again, let us know what you love, let us know what you don't like so much, what you want more of. And if you have any questions or would you like to be a guest on the show, we'd love to hear from you. You can email us, you can call into the station, you can visit us on Facebook. And if you see the lovely Laurie Penman-Carrier out there doing word on the street with the camera crew, please drop by and say hello, because she's going to ask you some questions about your community, what you think, and just be part of the show. This is for you, and we want to hear from you. So today's show is really looking at fostering in families, and we have a wonderful guest, Ashley, from Children's Aid Society of York Region, and I'm also joined by a really special couple that I'm so excited for you to meet. Not that Ashley isn't brilliant, but this couple is really interesting, and I'm really excited for you to meet Mark and Nicole. So before I introduce you to Ashley, I just want to pose a few questions to you. We all hear really yucky stories about fostering and foster kids, and some of the nightmare stories, both by foster parents and by kids who have been through the fostering program. So it's about time, I think, that we shed some light on some of the positive aspects of being a foster parent and growing up in a foster system, what it's there for, and how it's supporting our community. And the needs. What are the needs out there? So we're going to talk a lot about the program and a lot about some personal stories and what brings people to this. It's not always an opportunity to hear about positive stories. We always hear about the bad news first. I don't know why, but we do need to balance it out, and that's what this show is going to do, is we're going to talk about some of the joys. So, without further ado, I want you to welcome to the show Ashley. Thank you for coming, Ashley. Now, your last name, you're right, I have a real hard time getting my little lips wrapped around it. Your last name is?
Gazowich.
Gazowich. And I would hate to pronounce it wrong, because it's kind of rude when you have a guest on your show and you pronounce their last name right. So, Ashley, thank you for coming. Children's Aid Society of York Region. How long have you been with them?
Well, actually, I've been in the field for 21 years, and I just celebrated my 15-year anniversary with York.
Wow, yeah. Congratulations. 15 years at York Region Children's Aid.
Long time.
It goes by quickly, though, doesn't it?
It really does. If it's something you're passionate about and really sort of keen to be a part of. And the thing about this job and this type of work is that every day is a new day. Every day is a new challenge. So the things that I've been able to experience and see and learn have been incredible.
That's great. Yeah. And Children's Aid do lots of work. I mean, it's not just about apprehension, and it's not just about coming in and making sure everything is okay. Or they do a lot of work in the community as well, as workshops. And so this fostering program, we're going to talk very much individually about that. Yes. What's your role at CAS?
So I am the foster and kin care supervisor. So my job is to be responsible for, as we bring on new families and approve and open new homes, they're assigned their own resource support worker. That becomes my team, and it's our job to support the foster homes. So it can be a very difficult job to do, and so they need support. They have their own children, their own families, and when they agree to sort of become a foster parent and take children into their home, the children come sometimes with some very complex struggles and challenges. So we're there to help and support them through the process.
What's the difference between foster and kin? You said fostering and kin.
Really good question. So a foster home is, for lack of a better term, a stranger to the child, not someone that they know.
Not related.
But kinship is, and increasingly the legislation, the courts are expecting us to look at family, friends, church members, a coach from school, a teacher.
Cool.
Maybe they'd like to care for the child.
And so someone they connected with.
Absolutely, and they step forward, but they go through the same process of training, support, and education as a foster home.
So hold it there. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back because you've got lots to tell us. So we'll be right back. Hi there, I'm Gillian Barker and I am host of Family in Focus. Welcome, and we're joined today by Ashley Gasowich from York CAS. I got the last name right.
Correct.
Good. I don't know why I stumbled over that, but thank you so much for coming and talking about fostering. So this is very interesting for me. So fostering and kinship, the difference between them is that the kids are not connected. The children are not connected to that individual who would be fostering, but kin is someone who they would know. So not just a relative, but it could be someone that they know in the community, a coach or something like that.
Absolutely.
Very good to know. I always imagine kin as being relative. So.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a common term that we would all think, and I think increasingly we're wanting to get that message out too, that the more that a child is already attached with someone and knows someone, the easier the process it is, not that it's an easy process, to come into care.
No, indeed, indeed. And you have a wide variety of ages of children and that need care.
Absolutely. Anywhere from birth, newborn, up to an 18-year-old child.
Wow.
Yeah.
How big's your team?
I have a team of 6. I have 5 resource home support workers plus my kin care worker as well.
I see. So that resource support worker would be working with parents who have decided to foster, and so what's the process for all of that? So
there's a process where when someone indicates an interest, we would go out, meet with them, and we give them some basic information.
So somebody would just give a call to York CAS and go, I'm interested in fostering.
Absolutely. So they're put in touch with our inquiry worker, our recruitment worker. Once they begin the process, we want to be as transparent as possible, and that it has its really great joyous moments, and it also will have its challenges. And are your kids, do you have children, are they on board for this? And what about your family pets too? I mean, we don't want to forget about them. I mean, kids coming into care sometimes don't have the experience of sort of, in quotes, that normal family. So basically, we put them through a process where we train them, we educate them. There's a 9-week, 27-hour sort of training course that they go through. There's a home assessment process.
So parents would go to that course together?
Absolutely.
And so before we go any further on about that process and that training, so what kind of parents come forward? What kind of folks come forward? Like, do single people come forward?
We are looking for all types of families. Families in this day and age are not sort of a typical sort of mom, dad. It could be a single parent. It could be an LGBTQ couple. It could be...
So same-sex couple?
Absolutely. It could be a family who is new to Canada. Diversity is huge in York Region. We look around. And so the kids coming into care from York Region are as diverse as that. And so we need all types of families.
And from all cultural backgrounds.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I see. Wow. This is good to know. So single parents too?
Yes, because, you know, and increasingly a lot of our families now, if you are a couple, you're both working in order to be able to reside in York Region. And so we've had to become increasingly aware and supportive of that. So you might say, oh, geez, I work. I can't take a little one in. Well, we look at supporting you with before and after school programming, so that we really want to make it as a viable an option for everybody.
Right. But not a business.
Absolutely not a business. And I think that's a really important thing. This is not where you come and you make a profit. This is about, maybe the profit is what you give of your heart, what you give of your passion. A lot of our foster parents will say, you know, it's a calling. I just felt this need. I needed to reach out and help. And some people have a really strong desire and they say, I want to help teens or I want to help babies.
So a specific age group?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get empty nesters and they say, geez, we miss the little pitter-patter of feet. And so they want little ones in their home. And other people say, no, you know, I remember myself being a teen and it was such a struggle. And so that's where my heart and my passion lays.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So the call is made. Somebody comes and they say if they want to do this. So then you go out and do a home assessment?
Absolutely. We do, you know, checks and
so have they got enough room?
Absolutely.
What are they too rural? Would that
no,
come into it?
No, because again, children come from all parts of York Region, some rural, some urban. You know, people live on farms, people live in apartments. All kinds of families.
Okay. And so what would that home assessment, what would that include? Because I know, you know, lots of people kind of go, ooh, they're coming into my home, they're going to assess my home.
Well, and you know, it's a really open and honest assessment, and we look at all things. We talk about your relationship with each other. If you're in a coupled relationship, we talk about your relationship with children, if you have children. So yeah, it really is, it's a really eye-opening experience. But I think there's a lot that people get from it, because part of what we also do is, again, it's that education and support. So have you suffered your own losses and grief? Because again, kids coming into care will have those experiences. So have you gotten in touch with those things yourself?
Ah, that's great.
Yeah.
So it's not just a home assessment. It is how they live in their home and their lives. And
absolutely.
That's great. So you really go right in there and figure things out.
And it's not a judgment. It's not sort of, oh, you're good and you're bad. It's are you ready?
Right.
And if you're ready, or if you're not quite ready, what do you need still to sort of be ready?
So would CAS help with that?
Absolutely.
Good to know.
Yeah.
And I know we've got some lovely pictures up here. Start small, foster a baby. And I know that there's a few folks in the community that I've met that have done some fostering with babies, and it is because they want a baby around.
Absolutely.
And to be able to do that nurturing, they feel that they're really good at that. But there's lots of ages, so even the big kids are in need. And sometimes, would you say that is a harder group to fit?
You know, I don't want to say that, because I think sometimes we all sort of look at a teen and we get afraid and we say, oh, geez, you know, that's a difficult population, right? Yeah. You know, these are still our kids, the community's kids, and they once were 2 and 4 and 6, but now they're 14 and 16, and they need someone to support them and help them too.
And it's such a brilliant age.
It really is. If you can embrace that, you know, and I talk about this to people, you know, foster parents are the people who were there in the middle of the night when that child is sick, whether it be a baby or a teen. That first breakup from that, you know, dating relationship and helping through those heartbreaks. That's what a foster family does, no different than what a family does. And they need someone there to nurture them, help them, and support them. Oh, this is one of our foster parents.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely, happy people. And I hear you say, this is how our foster family helps kids. So you're not just saying, this is how a foster mom or a foster dad, it's the family unit.
Absolutely.
So the children of that couple, the biological children of the couple, are included in this process as well. And so you set a training for the parents, 9 weeks?
9 weeks.
27 hours?
27 hours.
And what would would be covered in that training? What kind of things would you consider?
We talk a lot about sort of what's considered sort of normal development of a child. We talk about grief and loss. We talk about discipline. We talk about, you're making me go back and think about the course. I think really what we're trying to do is give them some exposure to the system. Sort of, again, there's lots of paperwork that's involved. You have to document. So the legalities, we talk about that as well. Because again, it's one thing to raise your own family. It's another thing to sort of raise a child who is in care in the system, who has access visits, who still sees biofamily, who in all likelihood, because this happens a lot, kids do get reunified with their families, as we hope they should. They don't always come into the system. That is absolutely the goal. They don't come into the system and stay, hopefully.
No. That's sort of the last resort.
Yes.
And so that reunification and helping foster parents support kids when they see their biological family, their biological parents, or their biological siblings, because that's got to be quite. I mean, I'm a psychotherapist, and I know that would be quite the debrief for me to do with a family. And so being able to help parents without that background be able to sort of sit down and help support them through it. Is this where your resource team comes into play?
Absolutely, and in fact, the couple that you will be interviewing later, they do a fabulous job because they very clearly say, we are not trying to take over the parenting role. We are not becoming mom and dad. We're there to help mom and dad as much as we are to help the kids.
And there's Mark and Nicole.
There's Mark and Nicole right there. And they do a fabulous job of really helping those kids understand it's not a loyalty bind. It's not a choice of choosing us over mom and dad. No, it's about, again, a family and a community helping raise a child, helping support the family as well.
So that's an interesting point, because that really makes it clear for me that they're clear on what their role is in that child's life. And I think sometimes that's where things get a little bit sort of murky for folks, right? Is, okay, so how do I be clear about what my role is? What's my job with this individual, with this 15-year-old or 6-year-old or 2-month-old, and be able to stay in that role? Because there's some security as well around being clear about what your boundary is.
And that's a big piece that the resource support workers are doing with our foster families, is helping them know what the boundaries are and helping them understand the need for flexibility, the creativity that sometimes is required. As we all know, when we're sort of parents ourselves to our own kids, and you sort of say, oh, how do I manage this situation? And so sometimes when they're really stuck and they reach out, the resource support workers can say, well, have you thought about this? Have you? Or there's this community support, etc.
Wow, so there seems to be quite a lot of support built in there, and some training. I mean, things do, as you say, think that life goes awry sometimes, but lots of things being put in there to be able to support it being a good experience. How many kids, well, you may or may not know this, how many kids would you say in York Region are in the foster care program?
I actually know this only because right now we're going through our annual ministry licensing.
How fortuitous.
Yes. So I know those exact numbers. Currently in our internal foster care system, we have 160 children. Now that makes up about, we have 370 or so children in care, but again, they're not all in a foster care system. They might be older, on independent living, etc. But within our internal foster parent system, we have 160 kids in care. And that's why we need increasingly more foster homes, because with the kids coming in, you ideally try to match a child to a home.
I was going to go there, so I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
So tell me about that matching.
So it's a process as the kids are coming in and we're asking, you know, tell us about the family, tell us about the child, tell us about their needs. Sometimes the children need to stay close to their community. Other times there's a reason to get them perhaps out of Keswick and they need to be in the south. So there's all those considerations that need to be given to us, and then we look across the board and say, of the families that we have, who is available, who has bed space right now, and who then is the best match. And so ideally what you're doing is placing that child, and again, if cultural needs are an issue, language, we consider that as well.
Well, I mean, we've all heard of, you know, First Nations, the 60 Scoop and all of that kind of thing, and, you know, placing a child in a culturally appropriate, supportive environment is so key to how they feel, how they are connected to their own culture and their own comfort. And ease of processing, everyone has a different way, and every culture has a different way of being able to talk and approach these things. So how many foster parents do you actually have in York Region?
Right now, we have 100 homes. 100 homes
for 160 kids.
Yeah. So when I say there's a need, I think that's maybe the best way, if we're looking at new numbers, to numerically express that. That's why that need is there.
Wow. There definitely is a need.
Yes.
And so I hear you say that there's no age barrier for foster parents. I hear you say that you need all cultures.
Yes.
And, you know, I don't want to sort of take it down a different cultural path or anything, but you are vigilant to the cultural needs of the child.
Yes.
And in an ideal world, it is about the child being reunited with the family.
Absolutely.
And being reconnected. It is that sort of, for the want of a better word, holding the child in a very caring environment before being able to be reunited.
I like the word you use, holding, because that's really what it is. You're holding space and place for that child whose life still goes on, right? I mean, they're still in schools, they're still growing and learning, and so you need that foster family who's there to hold that for the child while we are trying to support the actual family of the child, so that hopefully the child is reunified.
Right. And I would imagine that there's often complexity around that.
Absolutely.
Because I know that you don't apprehend unless absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
And so there's got to be quite a bit of complexity around that. Are the foster parents aware of the complexities and the history sometimes?
I think it depends on who the foster parent is, their experience before they get to us. Certainly, I will tell you, and I'm sure Mark and Nicole will tell you, that that's one of the biggest learning curves when you come into the system, is you're caring for these children, and it seems there's perhaps an obvious path, but you have to deal with the courts, the legalities, a whole bunch of issues. And so, yes, while it's our goal ideally to reunify children with families as soon as possible, sometimes there is that delay. And again, the more that foster parent is there to sort of hold that space and help, the better off the children are.
Wow. So it's quite a learning curve. I mean, you mentioned courts and legalities and all of this kind of thing. So it's a real learning curve for a lot of folks.
Yes.
Ashley, thank you so much for coming and sharing. Is there anything that you would like to say to the folks before we kind of go to break?
Believe that it's you. It's possible. It could be any one of you, and we are looking for all families and all people. So don't think that you can't count and make a difference.
Fantastic. Thank you, and we will be right back with Mark and Nicole. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
welcome back. I'm Gillian Barker and I'm host of Family in Focus. And today we're talking about fostering. It's a family affair. And we are joined today by just a lovely couple. And I can't wait for you to meet them, hear their stories. So I'm going to shut up and head over to Mark and Nicole. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
It's a real joy now. Of course, we talked to Ashley in that last segment and she was, raving about you two. So now it's our turn to get to know who you two are and what made you decide to foster? Who decides?
I will.
You will? Okay.
Okay. Well, when we first met, we both worked with children and we had a lot of same understanding and ideas about raising children, and it just seemed like our passion was children. So even before fostering, we would mentor children together. We would help out single moms, give them a little break on the weekends, and it was just something that we enjoyed. We loved to have a house filled with children running around. We loved the chaos. We loved the toys, the screaming, the laughing. It brought us so much joy.
So let me just say that, hear you say that one more time. You love?
We both love the screaming, the laughing, kids running around. It fills the house with so much joy, and just when it's quiet, it just seems like this is so weird and odd. And so we looked forward to taking other children on the weekend and just adding them along with our own children. And I think what really made us want to foster is we did this mentorship program where we took two boys, and they'd be so excited to go out with us, and we take them to the park and out to eat and to the fair and that kind of stuff. And then one day we were about to drive back and they were all in the car and they were tired and stuff. And I just thought, it'd be so nice to just bring them home, tuck them in bed. And we just felt like we could do so much more. And that's when we really looked into wanting to foster. We thought we can do this.
So this was a decision the two of you kind of grew into. So you were both mentoring. So what was that? Was it an organization, a church, or how was it?
It was a local church.
A local church
that we're a part of.
And so it's kind of like a Big Brothers, but this is like a parent for a night, or it's just getting kids out, or? It
was more, a Big Brother, Big Sister program that they had going, and we had surprisingly a lot of children that were unmentored, so to speak, if I can say that. And we volunteered for two or more children, and it was a great experience, very exciting. Okay. And we wanted to, I guess, expand that and take it on the road.
So it sounds like, so you've got a very soft, very calm kind of voice. This is his demeanor. Is this your demeanor? This is how you always are?
At work, no. This is how, generally, yes.
So this is Family Mark.
Yes.
No, this is Family Mark, but he's really, really fun and goofy. With the kids.
Too. That's awesome.
With the kids.
That's awesome.
We get to see the awesomeness of who he is at home.
And you, mom extraordinaire, as well, you have 4 biological children.
Yes.
Yes.
And you foster how many children?
3.
3.
Yes.
You do like life and chaos and
yes, we do.
Loud, and this is something that is very you. Wow, that's awesome. So tell me about your 4 biological children. How old are they, and how old were they when you first fostered?
So it's 6 years ago, I think 20.
Yeah.
My eldest one was 20, and I think the others were probably about...
It's -6 after 8.
Yeah.
Oh, so every 6 years.
10, and we had 10 and maybe 7 at the time, and I was pregnant when I first started. So that was the last one, yeah.
So you were pregnant when you first started fostering?
Yeah, well, when we first started the process of fostering, I was pregnant, and I really didn't want to stop the process, because there is a time where they say, we want you to bond with your own child for a year, yes, and then you can start
Okay.
to actually open the home. And I tell you, I think as soon as she turned 1, we're like, we're ready. We were so excited. And so we started.
And that was your first foster
our
child?
First foster baby.
And how old was your first foster child?
She was 3 months.
3 months. So
Yes.
you had a 1-year-old, a 3-month-old, and 3 other kids.
And 3 other
6 years
children,
apart.
6 and 10 and 20 at the time, yes.
Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible. The joys of fostering, what are they?
It's hearing, just hearing the chaos in the house. Not chaos, it's organized chaos. Hearing children, it really brings life to the environment. And I grew up in a big family. I've always had a big family around me, big surroundings. And it's just hear little, pitter-patter feet around the house, the laughing. It's fun. It's exciting to hear children. My initial reason why I got involved, children, they need a voice. And I think I've always wanted to be a voice, an advocate for children. And if I can demonstrate my advocacy in this way, and especially with this medium, it's like, whoa, this is putting my goal on a different plateau, so to speak. Just be able to sit here with you. It was like, wow, you're really doing this. And yeah, so children, they do need a voice.
They do.
And usually I was brought up, children are to be seen and not heard. And I'm like, no, enough is enough. They do have a voice. They are people too.
Yes.
And that's what I'm here for. They are people too, to represent them in any environment where I go.
Yes.
That's fantastic. And this is the man who said he was only here to support you. That's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, you can see that you're very passionate about children, their experiences, you're giving them a voice, giving them a place, letting them know they're loved and they're cared for, not just by their own family, but here they are welcomed into yours. How are your kids? I mean, you've brought them up, obviously, to think like-minded. But how were your biological kids when you started to talk to them about possibly fostering?
They are so welcoming of every single child we've ever foster cared for. We've provided care for, I think we're going on our 10th child right now, and every single child have always welcomed with an open arms. So we have awesome children that they don't really, most of the times when children see other children around, they have this jealousy thing that comes into, and it's how can I help? How can I? It's a team effort. It's a joint effort. It's a team thing that we have going on at the house, and they're always wanting to help in any way. Right. Their ears are always perked up. When is this person coming? Are they here yet? Is it a boy? Is it a girl? It doesn't matter. Just when are they coming? Yeah. So they make it actually easier for us because I feed off of them and how they feel, and that determines how much hands-in do I have in the foster care that comes in, because I am for my children, and I feed off of them. And if things are not going well at school, you know what? No, something is wrong here. We have to do something. So they're good, I'm well.
So this is you rolling up your sleeves. It's like, okay, let's get to work here. Okay, nice. You've obviously, for want of a better word, fostered an environment of care and security and love first. Yes. And that they are very secure in who they are as your children. It's interesting. I've always believed that the more love you give, the more capacity you have to give more.
Yes.
And it's not on the receiving, although you get so much. So tell me about what you get personally. I hear that you have that passion from your own growing up, and that you want to give them a voice. What in the day-to-day, what keeps you going? Because that's a lot of kids, man.
It is.
7 kids, that's a lot of kids. That's a busy house.
Yeah, for me, I honestly want to do something more than beyond my needs. we can grow up and we can be selfish and say, you know, I want to have a house, a car, and all of these goals for ourselves. But at the end of the day, you just feel empty. You really do. You feel empty, and you, deep down, you want to make a difference, right? You want to be, you don't want to just talk about the change, you want to be that change. So for me, yes, every day, it's like from the time you wake up in the morning, I have babies. I don't have to set an alarm clock. I've got babies that will let me know what time it is, and I'm up from the beginning to the end of night. And I go to bed, and I'm just like, oh, it's bedtime. But every day I wake up just knowing the passion of that. I'm making a difference. Each child, I can see that difference, and that drives me to always want to get up and do something more. I don't just want to go out there and just make a paycheck. For me, it has to be something that I'm doing that's very passionate. You couldn't pay me to do anything unless there's passion involved in it. I would volunteer to do anything as long as there's passion fueling it. And my passion fueling is really, yes, he said to be a voice for a child, but for me to make a change in that child's life, as well as help the families. I'm not just there for the child, I also look into the family. You cannot be judgmental with the family. You don't know what they grew up with. And so I want to be that person who's a mediator between the two and see the family come back together reunited, and that now the child is going to experience something so much better because parents were helped, the child was helped, the reunification was a success, and then I sit back and go, that was great, that was awesome, and I move on to the next assignment in life, and that's the next child that comes through our home. And so to me, that's awesome. And then for my own children, when I see the type of person that they've become, because they give so much as well, and they're sensitive, they're compassionate, they're giving. It just helps. You have to wonder if the children are there, if we're there for the children, or they're for us. They've turned my children in such amazing human beings. So to me, it is better when they say to give than to receive. Giving makes your heart grow bigger and the passion grows stronger, and you feel like at the end of the day, I didn't just live, I did something. And my children also now are a part of that and can see that we didn't just exist, we did something to make a change in this world. Wow. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I hear the passion from both of you. You're an incredible couple. And you said something really, really important. To my mind, it is not about, being the better family, or we're going to protect this child, or it is about helping families reunite, be together, get strong again. Yes. It's not about tearing families apart, it's about strengthening families. And I think that most people, when you think about the foster system, they think about children being taken away, broken families, the horror stories that folks hear. And for most kids, it's complex. Yes. There may or may not be mental health, there may or may not be drugs, there may or may not be all kinds of things, but it's, for you, I hear you say, it's not about that. Because that's just the stuff that happens to people. Yes. It's about how do we help make things, the future, better. Yes. For all. That's powerful, powerful message, and a powerful stand to have it through life. How long have you two been a couple? How long have you been together?
I think we're celebrating 22 years of marriage.
You got it.
In June.
Yes. 22. That's phenomenal.
Marriage,
Fantastic. Yes. And in those 22 years, you have been a mentor to children. You have been a foster parent. You've got your own children, and been an example. Now your extended family, what do they think? How do they sort of view you two? Do they think you're absolutely nuts?
I know that my mom, she thought, of course, she's a little old school. She was, because she passed away. So she was a little old school. There was not much to say about it. But I know that she can speak for herself and her parents. But her parents are amazing parents. Her parents are grandma and grandpa.
That's okay.
And of course, because we foster babies, it's just seeing these lives. It's almost as if we are the biological children in their eyes, and they're amazing. They are amazing, and she can speak on their behalf, but they're truly amazing.
Yeah. So you came by this naturally?
Definitely, and in my home, my mother and my father always had a room for anybody who needed to come. So, you know, I had brought home 2 teenage friends.
You just keep bringing them home.
They spoke to their moms and said it's okay for them to come for a bit while their family issues were working out. And so in a way, it just felt like we were not with fostering, but it felt like we did foster.
And those community parents, I call them community parents.
They definitely are.
Have been saviors for many, many kids throughout life, that in a very unofficial way.
Yeah.
And we are lucky to have many of those wonderful people.
My family does definitely play a big role, and aunties and uncles and.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. One of the things that kind of comes to my mind, and I know that we're kind of running out of time, is how do you two keep your relationship going with all of this joyful chaos? What's your big secret?
The joke for me is when we go grocery shopping. And say we walk down the aisle every Saturday or Sunday. Honestly, for us, I think we have to, with any time that we get alone together, that is our date night. Honestly,
so
if it's driving down here for an hour, I don't think we stop talking, and we talk and we talk and we talk and we talk, and
so you grab it
every moment we can get. We treasure it, and then understanding that if we can't get out to the fancy restaurant or to the movies, which is funny because we probably go to the movies and we'll be like this.
Yeah.
Right? Have a good snooze together, but we definitely have that understanding, and when you do understand what we are doing, and that there are times where we will not
We've got to go to break. Hold that thought. We're going to get back to it. We'll see you right after the break. That's such a... Hi there, welcome back. I'm Gillian Barker. This is Family in Focus. And today we're talking about fostering. It's a family affair. And I have 3 wonderful guests, Mark and Nicole, just wonderful foster parents, and parents too, right? And Ashley from York CAS, who was sitting out in the green room in that last segment and really enjoying hearing these 2 just talk about their passion and their advocacy and giving kids a voice. I want to go back to the thought that I asked you to hold before we took a break, because lots of parents find it really hard with their kids in being able to, keep that intimacy, keep that connection with each other as a couple. And I'm thinking, 7 kids, holy cow. You guys were saying you treasure each moment. Absolutely. As it comes along, whether you're in the grocery store or sitting in the car on the way here or wherever. But you also said, it's not about the fine dining and going out to the movies, because if you went to the movies, you'd fall asleep. Yeah, I mean, most of us would do that anyway. What's it about then?
Communication. Yeah, just keeping it open. Communication. My husband makes sure to text me every single day from work, and WhatsApp, emojis, all the new stuff that's out, and just seeing how each other are doing. So the communication is definitely big. So when we do get that opportunity to sit down and talk, and it's almost like we're having that meeting where I'm telling him about, what happened here, everything here, and then at home, and then He's great in that. He will be almost like my respite person, and he'll be like, "Okay, you go," and then he has them, and then he'll let me know how everything went, and we just always come together and just make sure we communicate about each child, each individual, their needs, meetings, everything. So communication is very, very key for us to stay connected. And as I said, anywhere we go, that's something special for us. And if and when we do get to say, okay, we're going to go out, and we have to really we have to schedule that in.
I was going to say, that's hard work.
Schedule that in.
It takes
and get
dedication.
I've learned to be so organized when I was probably the most unorganized person. Organized. And he is the most organized person. I've had to organize my life, which feels great. And we literally have to be penciling and say, okay, we will go out on this particular day because we have to have someone in place to watch the children. We work the schedules around, and that would be that special moment for us. But honestly, we've just so learned to just talk.
Kind of learned to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's really not about us.
No.
It's not about us. It's about family and keeping families together, and it's about community, and it's about giving back. And that's primarily why I get into this. I want to give back. I want to make a change. I want to make a difference in the lives of these little children.
Mm-hmm. They're our future.
And they are the future. And if we say they're the future, then we have to really invest in the future, or else we won't have a future.
And that's the three of you, right?
That's
what I get from all three of you is the investment in the future.
Yes.
So for you, watching these two incredible people must be, because you've known them since...
Oh, I'm so proud. I must admit I was getting a bit tearful in the room watching. I think for me, Nicole and Mark, what they demonstrate so beautifully is the sincerity with which they've approached this choice to be foster parents, and the humor, right? I mean, you've heard them make jokes and talk, and you know, we all know there's going to be tough times and challenging times, and how you get through it is through the degree to which you communicate, you're connected, that you sort of can laugh about things, you can laugh about yourself. I mean, I love Nicole and Mark, and when they first came into the system, I thought, yeah, these people will make a difference.
And so there are many Nicole and Marks, you were saying, in York CAS, which does my heart good to know, because you do hear some crazy stories. And so do you have a mentorship kind of, or a peer connection for all of these wonderful folks so that they can support each other?
Yeah, in fact, part of what we try to do as an agency, although I think a lot of the fostering community informally does it themselves, is we try to create sort of mentors. So as a new family comes on, we say, you know, there's this other family that lives in your area and could be a good sounding board for you. Because we recognize we ourselves aren't the foster parents, we can support you, but it makes a difference when someone who's walked in those shoes. So, and Mark and Nicole too have also reached out and now become mentors for other new families and homes.
And you glean so much when working with a group, in a group setting, as opposed to, you know, sort of, you know, the one resource worker and yourselves. Then you can share, and it's real time and it's real life. It's sort of in the moment. So that mentorship would be wonderful. I could see these guys being wonderful mentors. And of course, you learn from each other. That is really sort of giving and sharing. So what words would you have for anyone out there that's thinking, maybe this is something we could do, or I could do?
My first thought is you have the capacity. You have the capacity to give. So why not just do it?
You have the capacity.
Have the capacity. You've been born with the capacity.
It's interesting because that would be one of the things that would come, because we're wonderful as human beings for doubt. Right. Can I do it? Yes. Can I manage? And what I hear you saying is, absolutely you can.
Of course.
fact, the more you do is what you said. The more you do, the more you can do.
Yes.
I try to stretch myself the way I stretch my kids. So if I push myself to that breaking point of really knowing my intrinsic value, I do the same to my kids, and this is my stretching. This is me stretching. I have 7 kids. I will be so stretched, plus work, 2 jobs.
Oh, you have 2 jobs?
And I come home, I cook, and I wash, and I clean. I'm being stretched. So if I can do it, anyone out there can do it.
2 jobs, 7 kids, and you cook and wash up.
Absolutely. He helps out so much.
She starts. It's team effort. It's a joint venture.
That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. And you have 7 children, and 4 of them are small. 4 of them are little ones.
Yeah, 4 of them, yes.
And for most mums, having 4 little ones at home would be crazy making. So what do you do to cope? Because there's got to be crazy times during the day.
Yeah, I have learned, honestly, to stick by a schedule. Where before it'd be just like, yeah, let's just do this and do that. I'm always just, we're ready to go. But I'm like, that's not going to work anymore. So I have a schedule that's set that allows me a good 2.5 hours to breathe. And people say, how do you get that? You've got, you schedule infants, it in. And I schedule it in. And how I do it is I schedule the kids for their nap time. And so as soon as they come in, we start to, the new one will take a little bit, but then we start to work through what each child needs. They do need a schedule. They need some sort of, some routine, definitely. So we start with the routines, and they get used to the routine, and everybody wants their nap time. I even have a dog, and that dog is like having another child, and he knows the word nap time, because... And everybody goes for a nap, and those 2.5 hours to myself, I exercise. That's the time I would cook. That's the time I do whatever paperwork, read a book, whatever, to watch a movie, whatever it is. I take that time to refresh. And once that time is over, it's time to pick up the children, and the next set of chaos starts. I'm just refreshed.
I cannot thank you guys enough for coming in. You're inspiring. Loving, caring, wonderful members of the community, and I hope that you've helped some folks out there. And just keep being you. That's awesome. Ashley, thank you so much for coming in.
Listen, no, these guys are my Olympic gold medalists.
And so, hope to see you next time on Family in Focus. Thanks for joining us. Thank you so much.